Starting off with our first party audiences, this is probably one of the easiest ways that we find for marketers to be able to optimize their spend. I'm sure all of you have heard like no end of discussions around first party data to date, but there's a really good reason for that. So we here at XPON are huge advocates for combining your business owned data and knowledge with AI and ML tools. A lot of times these tools have been built on, years of experience and years of global data, particularly in the case of the Google platforms that we specialize in. And so we really find that in most cases, human-assisted AI, as opposed to AI-assisted humans, which is what most of us hope to be if we're not already. But human-assisted AI is a massive combination and a key to success. So what we find is when you leverage your first-party data with Google's AI, you get significant improvements in your key performance metrics, and it helps you to better achieve your business-specific goals. Fortunately, there's been a lot of expansion in this space over the last few years, and our tools now work a lot greater than just a simple one-to-one upload and targeting. It actually enables our advertisers to leverage your first-party data with some of those AI and machine learning capabilities to improve things like your acquisition signals, to improve your predictive capabilities, and inevitably to drive demand for your business. So the value that first-party data provides to our advertisers, it comes in a variety of different forms, depending on your campaign strategy, the user journey, and also your data maturity. So this can be something as simple as retargeting tactics, like serving messages to your website visitors or recently inactive customers, or it could be finding niche audience segments to improve your overall message efficacy and spend efficiency, which obviously is why we're here today. So some of those approaches could be things like excluding your existing customers, so really saving you money on targeting known users or by not targeting the known users. Or it could be things like modeling to develop audiences of users who are most likely to purchase from your business or who have a higher predicted purchase value. Some of the most digitally mature approaches that we see combine not only our first-party audiences, but it kind of couples those with connected bidding strategies, which is the second section that I'll touch on today. But we find really that these two pieces go hand in hand really well. As an example, if we are in the awareness stage, a simple tactic is going to be excluding your existing customers from your acquisition campaigns. This prevents you from wasting your budget on a bunch of people who have already converted. And it's a really foundational step that we think every business should be taking. So if that's not something that you're currently doing, very quick, easy win to help save you a little bit of your media investment. If we move down into like the consideration and conversion phases, you can get a little bit more advanced. You can create some high value audiences for expansion by using things like your top customers as a seed list for optimized targeting or for similar audiences through demand gen. The great news is that when it comes to first party audiences or like specifically customer match audiences, the numbers speak for themselves, which is great. What we find essentially is enabling your first party audiences drives incremental performance for any campaigns that you already have in market. So you don't have to go and build everything from the ground up. You can optimize your existing activity simply by adding in your first party data that hopefully we already have on hand. We see when you apply custom match lists to bidding, smart bidding campaigns, so campaigns of smart bidding, you see an average of 5.3% uplift in conversions. But even better than that, we actually see a 20% increase in conversions per dollar spent when you use this approach. So that is a significant improvement in your efficiency. What I wanted to do today to help kind of get you started with best utilizing your first party audiences to really nail some of this spend efficiency is I've included a couple of use cases that you can essentially get started with. So the first one, foundational but incredibly important, as I mentioned, is the exclusion of your existing customers, preventing you from wasting your budget on people who have already converted. Now, what I will say when it comes to excluding your existing customers is it's really important as an agency to work with your customers or as a business to discuss internally and get a really clear view of what defines an existing customer. This is going to vary depending on your business, depending on your marketing lifecycle, and it's really important as well to consider if and when those customers should be re-engaged. So some things to kind of help you think about what an existing customer might be for you. It could be as simple as somebody who has signed up or purchased from your business. If you are a B2B enterprise, it could be somebody with an active license if you're in SaaS. If you are B2C, it could be someone specifically who's purchased in the last 90 days. You may work out that your definition of a existing customer, they tend to return within that time frame. So if they are outside of that, it might be a good time to re-engage them. Alternatively, if you're in something like FMCG, there's a lot quicker turnaround with those. So their definition or your definition of an existing customer would be extremely different compared to, say, a B2B advertiser. So I always recommend going through and really defining what an existing customer means to you. And defining also, is that the same for your entire business? Is it different for different lines of your business? The power of excluding your existing customers doesn't just come from the saving in spend, but it also comes from leveraging your business knowledge to really nail and understand who an existing customer is to make sure that you are including or excluding the right people at the right time. Secondly, one of the many traps that we see people fall into when it comes to utilizing first-party audiences for expansion specifically, similar to the definition for your existing customers, it comes down to the segmentation of who your high-value audiences or who your high-value customers are. The real value as well for expansion tactics comes from not just a generic single customer audience, but really from that segmentation into what is high value, what is of importance. Essentially, not all of your customers are creative equal. You'll have some customers who are high spenders, who are repeat purchasers. You'll have some who have been with you for a really long time. They could be your most valuable customers, and if so, they should be the foundation for your expansion tactics. So by segmenting your data, you can create a seed list of those high value customers and then leverage Google's AI tools like optimized targeting or similar audiences currently for using demand gen to help find you new users who have similar characteristics or similar actions to your best customers, not just to all customers. We find that this is a little bit more effective of a strategy rather than telling, your targeting algorithms to find more customers. You're providing them with super targeted, high quality value seed lists, and you're giving it a much more intelligent goal, essentially, to optimize towards. Some little thinking points for you around what dictates a high value audience. You could take a look, is this someone who is based off of a RFM, a recency frequency monetization model? Are they people who have purchased high value cart items? Are they people who do lots of purchases? Are they somebody who has purchased within a specific time frame? Really work out what that value means to you. Is it lifetime value? Or is it something like their probability to purchase or propensity to purchase? So this last kind of use case that I'll talk you through is our purchase probability use case. So this approach includes taking your first-party data and actually applying a layer of intelligence to it. When I say intelligence, I mean AI intelligence, not just you got to be smart to do it. But instead of just targeting your past customers, we're essentially going to use your data to predict who your future customers might be. So you can use advanced data platforms to build custom models for things like predicted lifetime value or their propensity to buy. So think of it as a way to kind of score your users based on how likely they are to become a valuable customer. It's not just about someone who's bought something, but who is most likely to buy again and who is most likely to spend more with us in the future. Once you have these models, you can easily activate them across pretty much all of your media channels. It doesn't just have to be Google. This means that you can find more people exactly like your highest value customers on platforms like Meta, LinkedIn, Google, YouTube, wherever it is that you're advertising today. Specifically in the context of Google Marketing Platform, because that's obviously where our expertise lie, by combining your own data with Google's AI, you are essentially providing the targeting algorithm with a much smarter goal to optimize towards. Instead of just driving any conversion, it's now focused on finding the most valuable conversions, and it's a crucial shift that leads to a much more efficient use of your ad spend. So you've gathered all your first-party data, you've built your audiences. Now you need to develop a plan essentially to prove that they're working and prove the value of these audiences, right? Now, depending on where you are in your first-party audience journey, you might find yourself starting further down this roadmap. However, to best support our customers in realizing and demonstrating the value of custom match audiences back to their businesses, we generally recommend a phased approach. So the key is really to set up a controlled experiment where you can isolate the impact of your first-party audiences and be able to definitively say that this strategy is working. So our phased approach usually includes 1, testing audience uplift. So this is a comparison against essentially non-audience targeting against audience targeting. So you can kind of demonstrate what the incremental conversions are that you are achieving on top of what you would have achieved regardless of audience targeting. From there, we move into an audience comparison. So you would apply essentially different first-party audiences to line items, use testing infrastructure and reports to see which one of those performs better. So as an example, you might do a seed list audience against one of your predictive or your modeled audiences. From there, you can take a look at things like your conversion rate, your CPA, or your ROAS, return on ad spend, to see which of these is performing better for your business objectives specifically. And then once you've kind of narrowed down which of these audiences is your top performer, or it's giving you the best return for your ad spend, it's helping you to optimize that media investment the most, what we move into then is a message comparison. So here we will apply multiple creatives to the same targeting to help us understand what really resonates most with our most valuable audiences. So for example, we might show a value-focused message to a high lifetime value audience, or we might serve a promotional message to one of our new acquisition audiences, as an example. Really just kind of defining not only how do our audiences behave and who gives us the best bang for the buck, but what is going to entice them the most to come back to our business and spend more money. Remember that these experiments, when you set them up, they should have constants and then essentially one variable to make sure that you can really understand and present back the value of these audiences. The goal essentially is to move beyond the old spray and pray approach and move into a world where we're using first-party data and making data-driven decisions about our audiences. And we find that these types of experiments and plans are the best way to get us there. Now, a great way to simplify your approach for first-party audiences through custom match is using a composable data platform. If you haven't heard of these before, essentially it's a toolbox that allows you to, or enables you to easily connect, model, and then activate your audiences. So these platforms enable you to build those advanced models that we've spoken about, lifetime value, propensity to buy, pretty quickly and quite easily as well, I will say. Composable data platforms like Wondrous, which is the one that we have on screen at the moment, they also enable our advertisers or our agencies to seamlessly activate the exact same audiences across your advertising platforms, which means that you can effectively test your first-party audiences, not just in the Google platforms, but also across your priority social channels like Meta and LinkedIn. We at XPON, we have a lot of experience helping our clients implement these types of solutions, and we've seen some incredible results from that. This is our proof in the pudding, essentially, of using first-party audiences to optimize and improve your budget efficiency. So the first example I have here is a global retail brand that we work with. They saw an incredible 114% reduction in their CPC, their cost per click, and a massive 786% increase in their click-through rate, which is just an awesome improvement in spend efficiency. In this scenario, essentially, our retail customer leveraged their customer data, first-party audiences, in DV360 and optimized performance across their product-based campaigns. So that comes back to being that really detailed segmented audiences in line with what your intended outcomes are. We essentially had an audience segment with purchase histories of 2 to 5 products across the specific product range, and having that really targeted audiences with messages helped us to achieve those results. The second example is for one of Australia's leading superannuation funds. Stats are on the screen. I probably don't need to read those to you, but this is just a really good demonstration that even in a restricted and super well policied vertical like finance, our customers are still able to leverage their first-party data via Custom Match in a privacy-safe way while realizing a significant uplift in their media performance. So some really awesome results that we've seen from this approach specifically, which is awesome.